Hey, what's going on to all you filmmakers out there? This is Ron K. Armstrong, filmmaker extraordinaire, here with another video for you. And in today's video, we are going to review Bad Boys for Life, starring Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. But before I do that, I want you to hit the like button on this video. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications on when I go live and when I upload recorded videos. So, Bad Boys for Life. Now, just a disclaimer, I've never been a big Bad Boys fan of the franchise, but I did like 1 and 2. I'll tell you that much. I did like 1 and 2, which were directed by Michael Bay, but this one is not directed by Michael Bay. It's directed by 2 individuals. Let me see if I can say their names and not butcher it. Adele Arbia and Bilal Falah. Sorry. They are the directors. It was written by Peter Craig. And, of course, you see Return of Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. Now, there are a couple of reasons why I'm reviewing this film. Number one, which you're going to find out, it relates to a previous film I reviewed, which is called Gemini Man. And that there are some striking similarities, which I will go into. The other thing is I'm catching up on a lot of movies while we're under self-imposed isolation due to COVID-19. So this came up in my queue and I said, well, let me check this out. So let's get right into this so you understand. And I don't like to beat around the bush. When I started watching the film, I just thought right away it was horribly directed and horribly written. And what it feels like is that these directors were trying to copy Michael Bay's style without really understanding what Michael Bay was trying to do. Like there are key moments where Michael Bay would induce slow motion effects. And those were meant to emphasize something that important that was going on. These directors, however, just arbitrarily throw a slow motion effect in. Like Will Smith will be walking around and he'll put his jacket on and he'll do it in like real slow-mo, like he's cool. And I'm like, well, that's not what Michael Bay was doing. He had he had a lot of reason behind why he was putting in place that cinema technique, if you want to call it. And overall, let me just say this. I enjoyed the very ending of the film, third act, but overall, this film was horrible. I mean, this was a horrible, horrible film. From directing to acting to writing. And it made me really question, like, are just like Martin Lawrence and Will Smith, are they just collecting a paycheck? Do they really care about the films that they're in? Because if you care about the films that you're in, you'll be collaborating with the writer, the director, to make sure things are just pulled off correctly. And I'm watching this film and I'm just seeing things that are either so cliche or things that just don't make sense. So let me address the most important thing. The banter between Martin Lawrence and Will Smith it's not authentic. You can tell they're trying to go for laughs, and it becomes redundant and annoying. Okay, the whole premise of this, and let me go into the synopsis, is that there's a killer out there, and this killer is taking out targets, and one of the targets is Will Smith. He goes after Will Smith. Spoilers. Will Smith gets shot. He recovers. Martin Lawrence wants to retire. He doesn't want to get it back into police work. And he has this epiphany. He makes a deal with God that if God lets Mike Lowry or Will Smith live, he will not do anything violent or anything like that. We've seen this a million times. In other words, through part 1 and part 2, where, you know, Martin Lawrence's character was thinking about retiring. And at this point, in the third installment, it really becomes just played out and you get tired of it. It's like, look, retire already and shut the hell up. Now, so there's this killer and he's part of this Latino drug cartel. And really his mother is a witch. I guess she practices Santeria, and she gives him the target, so he goes out there like a sniper and shoots all these people. One of the individuals he ends up killing is the police captain, so he dies. Actually, I kind of like the captain too, which was really sad to see him go. Um, I think it's Captain Howard. So there was a sad moment there. But there are things in this film that it just reminds me of just film school application. It's like they're just learning how to tell a story, and it's so rudimentary. Anyway, so Will Smith is trying to coax Martin Lawrence back into the force to be bad boys for life one more time. Of course, Martin Lawrence is just going, no, 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 no. So through a series of events and beating up witnesses, they find out who the killer is. This young Ricky Martin guy, you know, and they realize that it's really his mother that's sending him out on these assassinations. So here's the big spoiler. Anyway, we find out that this young Ricky Martin guy is really Mike Lowry's or Will Smith's son. Wow, twist of it, turn of events. Even though he doesn't look anything like he's black or mixed, he looks straight up Latino, Ricky Martin. So you have Will Smith, you know, he's placed in a very delicate position he has to take his son out, who he never knew he had because his mother never told him. So there's a confrontation at the end of the film where he confronts the Santeria witch, the older Latina woman, and she has such a hatred for Will Smith for leaving her. See, Will Smith went undercover. He was deep, deep undercover. And so he was trying to investigate this drug cartel, which this Santeria witch, she was the head of. Her name is Isabella. So Will Smith basically chooses the right path. He doesn't, because she kind of tempts him into, joining her in the drug cartel. But Will Smith chooses the right path, and I guess she goes to jail. And in the film, she escapes from jail. She's very vindictive. She hates Will Smith because she was in love with him. She had his baby, and Will Smith left. That's the whole plot there. All right. Now, there's a lot going on in this soup. A lot going on in this soup. Different flavors, everything. Let me just first say this. Martin Lawrence looks bloated. He looks fat. He's sluggish. He's slow. Looks like he just telephoned his performance in. At no time in fact, most of the time when Will Smith was in this film, trying to coax Martin Lawrence, let me use their real character's name, trying to coax Marcus back into the force, you had to ask why, because at no time in this film did you see what a great police officer Marcus was. If you're going to be a writer and you're going to do this movie right, the reason, the whole catalyst for why Mike Lowry, Will Smith, wants Martin Lawrence, Marcus back into the police force to partner with him, and it has to be because Martin Lawrence was good, damn good. In this entire film, he is a clown to be made fun of. Every scene he's reluctant to do something. He doesn't want to beat up the bad guy. He doesn't want to break down the door. He doesn't want to do this, want to do that. And you just get tired of it already. You're like, so what is the point then, Mike Lowry or Will Smith, of trying to bring him back? Because he's obviously not the man he was. If you remember the first Bad Boys, he was skinny, agile. It was good. In this film, he's just bloated, fat. I don't know what happened to him. And it kind of reminded me of Laurel and Hardy. So he was dead weight, and it doesn't fit the story well. You have to have a character who is so damn good and decides to not go back into the police force. And that's why you keep trying to lure him back in, because he was the best. You don't see that in Martin Lawrence. And I have to ask this question too. As an actor, why is it that Martin Lawrence is okay with the filmmakers disrespecting him making fun of him, making him the butt of the jokes, because he was really nothing. I had no respect for him watching this film. You just want to laugh at how fat and slow and sluggish he is. It's not funny. Anyway, let's move on. Will Smith is Will Smith. He gave a decent performance. But again, you just don't know why he keeps trying to get Marcus to come back in. Makes no sense when he can do it alone. You see in the film where he's jumping over cars, jumping out and trying to pull down helicopters from the sky. You say, well, he's a one-man army. Why would we need Martin Lawrence? It doesn't make any damn sense. All right. And I'm going to go back to what the filmmakers were doing in here. You have these slow motion effects. You have these cutaways to Miami. You see boats, you see women, and they really have nothing to do with the story. They're just filler, I guess, so you can get an understanding of the atmosphere. But it's so like film schoolish in a way, just to show these images of, oh, look, a hot girl walks past the camera. You know, it's stupid. Now, of course, there is another team that Will and Martin team up with, and it's a Latina woman, and who Will had a past with her too, of course. And there's a lot of Latino actors in this film, by the way. So the team backs Mike and Marcus up. At the end, it's a big gunfight. It's pretty cool at the end. And at the end, the Isabella, the drug cartel female sent to the witch, kicks Martin Lawrence's ass. I mean, she literally picks up a knife and cuts him several times, where I don't see how he could recover from that. But he ends up just knocking her out. But I'm like, damn, she cut him up pretty bad. How can he recover from that? All right, anyway, let's get into some spooky shit. All right, some really weird shit about this film. This is why I'm doing a review on it, right? And if you want to know if it's worth renting or watching on streaming, it's not. You know, I had a hard time getting through it because I kept stopping and playing and stopping and just wanting to do other things. But there's some strange, spooky shit about this film that you need to know. Let me explain. I had just finished watching Gemini Man, and then along comes this film, and I'm watching this film, and I'm like, where have I seen this film before? And weirdly enough, the narrative thread of this film is very similar to Gemini Man. It's almost exactly the same. Let me give you an idea here. Gemini Man, Will Smith plays a sniper, a really good sniper, an assassin, where he takes off these targets. In Bad Boys for Life, Ricky Martin, Will Smith's son, supposedly the Latino guy, is a expert marksman sniper, and he's taking out targets. In Gemini Man, Will Smith, he has the crosshairs of his gun focused on his clone, and he realizes that the person he's looking at looks exactly like him, and he pauses and he doesn't take the shot when he could take the shot. And in this film, the Ricky Martin Latino guy is looking at Will Smith through his crosshairs, and he could take the shot, but he doesn't take the shot. Now, at the end of Gemini Man, Will is fighting his clone, and he's telling the female officer, don't shoot his clone, because he's trying to build a rapport with the clone is younger than him, and he cares for this younger version of him. So he's telling everybody, don't shoot him, don't shoot him. Meanwhile, Will's still fighting him, and Will's not really fighting him because Will's letting the clone beat him, because Will doesn't want to fight back. He's trying to prove something to this clone that, hey, listen, we shouldn't be fighting. We should be working together. I'm not going to fight you. Well, now in Bad Boys for Life, Will faces off with his son, Ricky Martin, and Ricky Martin's beating him up, and Will's not fighting. And he tells the rest of the police squad, don't shoot him, don't hurt him. I'm trying to get him to understand that I'm his father and that I didn't know I had a son. And I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck? It's the same story. It's the same thing, beat for beat. And I'm like, excuse me? Did they not realize, Will Smith or the studios, that he was just repeating a role he previously did in Gemini Man? That the storyline is very, very similar? And I'm like, what lazy writing? What freaking lazy writing? And I was just like, all right, this is just horrendous that they would do this and think that no one would pick up on this. All right. Now, getting into the other things about the film. All right. The action sequences are poor. You can tell it's just actors going through the motion. It's not like there's no stakes in the action sequences. You don't feel like anybody's really in danger. It all seems staged and conventional. Whereas when you saw the first Bad Boys and the second one, it was more organic. It was more exciting. Here it's like everything is structured, like the camera you can see is exactly positioned here. So the bad guy can run just as Will Smith runs into frame. And I mean, you can really see how they framed it and staged it. And it just doesn't look authentic. And like I said, I'm wondering, like, did Will Smith and Martin Lawrence even care? Or did they just do this for a check? Because if you cared, you would say, you know, hey man, this fight scene is not authentic. It's conventional. It's been done before. And the writing, I mean, there's things in here where actors are saying things that really there should be a moment of pause and deep retrospection. But they just blurt these lines out. And let me give you an example. At the very end, Will Smith's son, Ricky Martin, of course, is in jail. But actually, he kind of saves Will Smith at the end, because when he realizes the truth that Will Smith is really his father, he saves him. But then at the end of the film, very conventional ending. We're all happy. And then we cut to Will walks into this prison, and his son is behind bars. And he tells his son, listen, if you're really interested in turning over a new leaf, I got a mission for you. Are you in? And, you know, he says, yeah, I'm in. So meaning he's going to work for the feds now or whatever. But the thing is, you have to understand, this kid just killed a number of people, including the police chief. There's no going back from that. You can't just walk in and say, hey, kid, you want to work for us? You in or what? No. Because if you have emotionally invested in this character of your police captain for 2 previous films, you can't now suddenly throw that out the window and forgive this kid and then have him work with you side by side, which brings the question, will Martin Lawrence come back? Because he's probably going to retire and Will Smith will be working with his Latino Ricky Martin's son. So the film is just good filmmaking, not good story writing. The jokes are okay, but they get stale after a while. There's only but so much banter between Will and Martin that you can tolerate. When you keep asking Martin Lawrence, join me, let's be bad boys one more time. All right, then get the hell out of here, you know? And you can really tell that Martin Lawrence doesn't look good. Something's going on. I don't know if he was on meds or what's going on. He just doesn't look like himself. You know, the first film, he's agile, very youthful, flexible. This film, he is just, I mean, when he walks, you can just see it's like a challenge for him to walk. And it's really sad. This is why I say that, you know, I wonder if these filmmakers really respect these Black actors. Because if you do, you would paint them in a certain light. You wouldn't disrespect them. And I really felt that they disrespected Martin Lawrence, and maybe he disrespected himself for allowing them to do that to him. You know, to just make him look buffoonish in a way. It's sad, you know. So overall, I mean, I would say pass on this film for all the reasons I've just outlined, especially given the fact that it's a ripoff of Gemini Man. I mean, I'm just like, what the hell? It's rare that I see that happen in a film, where not rare in the sense that one film steals a story plot device from another film, but it's rare when it's starring that same actor in both films. This is why I'm saying, how could Will Smith not realize this? Why didn't he say something like, hey, you know what? I just did Gemini Man, and this is really reminiscent of Gemini Man. Can we change this in the script so it doesn't seem identical? You know? But the film is a waste of 2 talented actors. It's a waste. I mean, they could have, I would say, really, they should just, if Michael Bay wanted more money, paid him what he was asking for and bring him back. He would have done this right. Because it just, I mean, there's one, let me tell you how predictable this is, right? The police chief, you know, he gets shot. He gets taken out by Ricky Martin, the marksman, right? But there's a scene where they're at a baseball game, and you have Will Smith talking to the police captain, and then they decide to walk, casually strolling to the parking lot, la, 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 la. And I'm saying, wait, why do you like casually? And lo and behold, it's, whoa, I didn't see that coming. Oh, wow. You know what I mean? It's just like, all right, you know. So anyway, like that. Pass on this film. There's a lot of good films or classics, what have you, that you'd be better off spending your time with. This third installment of Bad Boys lost its flavor. It lost its spark. It's not there. It's contrived. It's stale. It's lackluster. It's embarrassing. Anyway, that is my review of Bad Boys for Life with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. This is filmmaker Ron K. Armstrong. Until my next video, keep making films.